What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Justin Knox Smith channel. Today we're going to be going over a subject again that I get a lot of questions on. While the truck's parked and I'm waiting on the faceplates to get back from Stryker, I'm trying to knock out a lot of questions because whenever I built the truck and put it all together, I didn't really get to go over each individual modification. So there's going to be videos, informational videos, and we're still going to be doing a lot of stuff to the truck and a lot of builds. I'm right in the middle of painting and some of the clear is drying right now. So while that clear coat is drying, and I'll show you that later on in the video, so stay tuned for that. But what we're gonna do is gonna go ahead and go over, as you've seen in the title above, I have a single piece drive shaft which got rid of the carrier bearing on the factory two-piece drive shaft. I'm not really familiar with the 6.4s and the 6.7s. I want to say the 6.4, all of them have two-piece drive shafts just like the 6.0. And then I want to say on the 6.7s at a certain year model, or maybe all of the 6.7s, I know the Illumiduties, they have a one-piece drive shaft because I've seen a couple of those at Stryker, and with the lift kits they do like a billet drive shaft spacer, and that's the same thing like Plan B and all of the other bigger gigantic lift companies do, is the single piece drive shaft, and they use the spacer and all of that. So that's pretty much that, and I may put it in the title or in the description down below what years have the two-piece drive shaft. But pretty much I'm going to go ahead and show you where that two-piece drive shaft would be, where the carrier bearing would mount, and you can crawl underneath your F250. What will happen is the carrier bearing will wear out, or the carrier bearing or the two-piece drive shafts, from where there's two different drive shafts, one of them could be a little bit off balance. A lot of people will see a vibration like at 55, 65 miles an hour, and of course that could be your wheels and tires are not balanced properly. It could be all kinds of things, but a lot of the times it will actually be your drive shaft. So I've got me a little light right here that I'm going to go underneath the truck. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that light on and show you the drive shaft itself, which is right there. Goes all the way up to the transfer case, which is right there. And as you can see, it has a slip yoke right there where it enters the transfer case, and then all the way back through here is just a single piece of, I want to say it's 1/8 inch wall tubing. It's a little bit thicker than the factory stuff, and it's a little bit bigger round. Not by much though, because it reuses the flanges and stuff. So this was pretty much the cheapest option to get a single piece drive shaft. Yes, you can get online and find them like already built and everything, and you're gonna pay for it as well. But if you can find locally a drive shaft shop, you can actually take them your factory OEM drive shaft, just like I done, have them build a single piece drive shaft exactly the correct length. So what you're gonna want to do is just like I'll have to do with the front drive shaft that you see right there. So pretty much, let's say that your carrier bearing was right there where my finger is. They're actually gonna cut it right there and cut it right there, and then extend that whole part and get rid of the carrier bearing altogether. So you pretty much have two options. You can have them put the slip yoke back here, or you can have them put it at the front, and then it reuses all of the same U-joints. So I did put new U-joints in it, and they all ended up being the same. So pretty much it eliminates one U-joint, I think. Yeah, it should be one U-joint, and then it eliminates the carrier bearing, which used to mount somewhere up in there. The carrier bearing used to mount right there. So there's no longer a carrier bearing, and I just have this sanded down, and then I put some oil on it. It's starting to get some surface rust. But I pretty much just have this thing sanded down as of right now, and then I put a little bit of oil on it, but it is starting to surface rust. I'm not quite sure what I'm gonna do yet, if I'm gonna paint it the same color as the truck, or if I'm gonna have it chrome plated, or if I'm gonna have it powder coated. I just haven't really made up my mind yet. And it's just one of those things where it doesn't really bother me. I can go wipe off that surface rust, and then it's just silver. Kind of matches the U-bolts and other little things under here. So it's not really that big of a deal to me. Now, with that being said, you can order a drive shaft for, X amount of inches of lift from certain companies, and they'll go ahead and have that the perfect length and all of that. But from where all of my stuff was, I wasn't quite sure what exactly I was going to be at ride height wise in the rear. And then doing the slip yoke and making it a little bit different. it only costed me, so I took them my factory drive shaft, and it only costed $220. And this is actually the second drive shaft that I've had them build, because originally I was on the 10-inch lift and I swapped over to a single piece drive shaft then, and I want to say it was on a factory 2-inch block and 7-inch leaf springs, which would be 9 inches of lift in the rear, and it was like 74 inches from flange to flange. So pretty much what they done is that slip yoke, let's say that slip yoke is like 6 inches long. Well, you don't want to run that slip yoke all the way in, because whenever your suspension compresses in the rear, that's going to run that drive shaft forward. So what they done was they just cut it all apart, and they don't even they don't have to balance their drive shafts. They actually build them on a lathe, and they like kind of mill out, you know, certain areas to make them. I don't understand really how they do it, but there's no weights on it, but it doesn't vibrate. So like it's perfectly balanced, and I guess it's just perfectly like true and straight, so to say. But anyway, so they're going to balance your drive shaft whenever they do that, whether it's on a lathe or if they put weights on it, whatever. Yeah, so I gave them that 74-inch long measurement, and then they built the drive shaft with the slip yoke, I guess about halfway or a little bit further than halfway, so the slip yoke can come out and the slip yoke can go in, because you have to have a slip yoke of some sort. You can't just run just a solid, you know, piece of tubing, because whenever the suspension would compress, it would just push on your transfer case and it would break something, of course. So the slip yoke I put in the front where you can't really see it. It looks a lot cleaner, and as you all seen, it looks super clean. And then we don't have to worry about the angle of that carrier bearing, and then the tapered lift blocks from Stryker, they actually orientate the pinion angle on the drive shaft and all that. So it is literally a straight shot straight to the transmission or transfer case, whatever. And I mean, it drives so good. It doesn't vibrate or make any crazy noises or nothing like that. I'm super happy with the swap all the way to the single piece drive shaft. And right now we're at 15 inches of lift in the rear and like 19 and a half in the front, pretty much 20. So everybody that puts like these 8-inch lift kits on their truck and then they have issues with that carrier bearing, I mean, if I'm on one this big, you know, putting one on your 6-inch lift is just going to help that much more. It's going to work on any size lift. This is something that I would even do if the truck was stock ride height, which not that it bothered me stock ride height and I didn't really have any issues, but just to get rid of that carrier bearing, super awesome. So I would definitely recommend to get rid of the carrier bearing and swap over to a single piece drive shaft. I guess is pretty much going to be, you know, the pinpoint of this video. Super happy with swapping over to the single piece drive shaft. And like I said, I took on my factory drive shaft, I measured my truck just sitting here at ride height. I measured from the flange on the rear axle to the flange on the transfer case, you know, where it bolts. And then I took on my factory drive shaft, gave them that measurement, and they made it perfect to where, you know, it would have enough room in the slip yoke and all that, and measured out to 74 inches, you know, etc. So, I mean, it was a simple process, and like I said, it only cost me, it was either $200 or $220. I want to say it was $200 the second time, and it was $220 the first time. So I guess from where I was a returning customer, he, you know, hooked me up or whatever. But yeah, so definitely get out there and go and get your single piece drive shafts made, because that's going to fix everything. As long as your pinion angle is correct in the back, which any name brand lift kit or name brand lift blocks or 4-link or what, I mean, even if you're 4-linked in the rear, guys, I mean, as long as your pinion angle is right and it's a straight shot, you just measure flange to flange, take them your factory drive shaft, and they'll build it right there. Pretty much any drive shaft shop can do this, so you can hop on Google, find a local drive shaft shop that can build you a single piece drive shaft. It's not really going to be a big deal. Like I said, they decided on what size tubing and all that, so I'm not really sure exactly what they used, but I know for a fact the wall of the tubing was thicker than factory, so it should theoretically be stronger. And then of course I don't have to worry about that carrier bearing ever failing or going out. But go ahead and comment down below, guys, and tell me what I should do with the drive shaft. Tell me what you think would look good on the truck. The faceplates will hopefully be done this week or week after that. But like I said at the beginning of this video, we've been painting some stuff, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you all that. And then that's gonna be pretty much all for today's video, but just for the subscribers and people who aren't coming here just to worry about their drive shaft. I know some of y'all like to keep up on what I'm doing and stuff like that, which is super awesome. I appreciate all the support. We're almost to 5,000 subscribers, guys, which is super, super awesome. I appreciate each and every one of y'all that are viewing the videos, and especially the ones that are clicking that subscribe button. Right there was our timer. So I've got to go spray some more clear. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my mask on, go out here, get in the paint booth, and then I'll show it to you all after I spray down this last coat of clear. I'm not trying to ruin my camera. I may try to get a little shot on my phone, spraying a little bit and throw together like a little edit or something. Yeah, actually that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna go ahead and go out here. I'm gonna put my nice camera up and just use my phone, and which it has a really good camera too. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw together a little edit of spraying this clear and then showing it all. But just go ahead and enjoy that. That's gonna pretty much wrap up this video, so let's go ahead and roll this edit. But always remember, guys, everybody starts as a nobody, and I will see you all in the next one. Let's go.